So I, 27-year-old female, am a black African woman. I'm living and working in Germany for a fixed period on secondment. While here I became quite friendly with a colleague, 60-year-old female, and she invited me to her daughter's wedding. I was excited as I've never been to a white wedding. I asked if there was a dress code or colour scheme to adhere to, since it wasn't specified on the invite. I was told the code is dress to impress. Bet. On the day of the wedding, I understand the assignment. I wear my traditional wear, which is really beautiful and obviously not German. The garment is green, so no problem there. Or so I thought. I get a lot of questions and compliments at the wedding, which I genuinely downplay because it's not my day. My colleague seems colder than usual, but I pay it no mind since she's the mother of the bride and could be preoccupied. The bride is downright rude to me, but again, I give her grace. I congratulate her and thank her for including me, and I get a tight in response. I keep to the edges of the room, as the music isn't really my vibe, and I'm just observing how European weddings work. I leave around 8 after 5 hours and go home before the wedding finishes. On Monday, I walked into whispers in the office, people acting strangely and more reserved than usual. An office friend pulls me aside and fills me in. The bride's mother is fuming. My outfit was too extravagant, over the top and inappropriate. I drew attention from the bride and dominated the room. I was rude and disrespectful. She's told people all about it, apparently. I approached the mother of the bride and asked to speak, but she says she has nothing to say to me. I ask her why she has something to say about me to everyone else, but not to me, and she calls me an insolent child. I explain to anyone who scolds me that this was my first wedding with predominantly white people. I specifically asked what to wear and followed the guidelines. Where I'm from, there's no such thing as outshining the bride. Weddings are a fashion show and a chance to wear your best and brightest clothes. They told me this isn't Africa, which was racially coded, and people here have manners. I laughed and told that person to go to hell, so she's telling people I lack remorse for my behaviour. I'm wondering if I really am the jerk, though. Edit. The dress inspiration I showed to my tailor is now on my profile to help you. Edit 2. I'm about to board a flight. Someone told me to go back to my country, so I'm doing just that. Thanks for the feedback. I'm guessing not the jerk, but could have inquired further, done research. Fair. Some of you are so pressed about the white people wedding. It literally means it's the first wedding I've been to where the bride, groom and wedding party are white. It's really not that deep. Thanks for the engagement and see you now. For a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. And I'm sure your outfit was beautiful. You asked for the dress code and you dressed accordingly. Bringing this issue at work is absolutely unprofessional, and all your staring colleagues should look at a mirror first. Seriously, are you working with preschoolers? Well, probably not. They would be happy with anyone wearing bright and colourful outfits. They told me this isn't Africa, which was racially coded, and people here have manners. What? I laughed and told that person to go to hell, so she's telling people I lack remorse for my behaviour. Good. You did nothing wrong. I'm sorry you work in such a toxic environment. Comment 2, not the idiot. She knows you're African, and now the problem is that she can either blame herself or you. Somewhere deep down, she must realise that her answer, dress to impress, was inadequate, and that, this might mean something different to someone from literally a different continent. Her daughter is angry at her, so she can either choose to accept that her vague answer caused the problem and admit that she is at fault, or shove the blame onto you. To look better to her daughter and anyone else who noticed, she is blaming you. If the office culture becomes hostile, go to HR and give them a factual account. Good luck. Comment 3. Not the idiot. You don't tell someone dressed to impress and then get mad they impressed. Not going to touch the Africa comment. As a fellow black woman with African family, I really want to fixate in that. Weddings are legit just fashion shows in most black families, and even in white families. When one of my aunts married her white husband, all of his side were just as done up as her side. You asked about the dress code and she gave you it. If you supposedly outshines the bride, who sounds hella insecure TBH, then that's mob's fault. Your co-workers are rude as hell. We have manners, my butt. Now for the update. It's been a year since the wedding incident, and I'd be lying if I said it didn't make me question my place here in Germany. I returned home to Africa for a few months to regroup and reconnect with my roots, faced with a decision to either stay there or go back to Germany. In the end, I chose to return, primarily because I loved my job, but also because I felt I had unfinished business. I wanted to show my colleague and her daughter and others like them that cultural diversity is something to be celebrated, not shamed. I continued working and kept my distance from my colleague, let's call her Angela, outside of professional interactions. I didn't bear any ill will towards her, but I felt it best to keep our relationship strictly professional. For a while it worked. Then, a few months ago, Angela suddenly approached me. She looked different. There was a weariness in her eyes that wasn't there before. She asked if we could talk privately. Surprised, I agreed. Tears welled in Angela's eyes as she began to recount the wedding incident. She apologized for her rudeness, but what surprised me is that she confessed her ignorance. She admitted that she had no idea about my cultural traditions and the significance of my attire. Moreover, she told me about the wave of backlash she faced within her social circle when word of her behavior got around. Apparently, her friends had been appalled at her lack of tolerance and cultural understanding. It made Angela realize how insular her worldview had been. She said she wanted to make amends and invited me to a dinner at her home with her daughter. The dinner went wonderfully. Angela's daughter, the bride, was more receptive than I had expected. She apologized too, explaining how she'd felt pressured to abide by her mother's wishes on her wedding day. In a twist of fate, Angela even suggested that I, in my spare time, could conduct a small cultural education session at our workplace to familiarize everyone with my traditions and customs. I agreed, and it turned out to be a huge success. Now, I feel more accepted and understood at work than ever before. The incident has sparked conversations about cultural diversity and acceptance in our office that were long overdue. I still miss Africa, my home, but I've realized that home isn't just a place. It's where you're understood, accepted and loved for who you are. And in that sense, I'm starting to feel at home here in Germany. My journey continues, but this chapter offers a glimmer of hope that acceptance can come from even the most unexpected places. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. You have every right to question your place in a new country, especially after a negative experience. It's completely normal to feel out of place when you're living in a foreign land, even more so when you're faced with a culturally insensitive situation. You took a mature decision to return to Africa to reconnect with your roots, and then made an informed decision to return to Germany. Your commitment to promoting cultural diversity is admirable and necessary. There's nothing wrong with loving your job and wanting to make a positive impact in your workplace. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Angela's behavior towards you initially was unfortunate, but it's great to see that she realized her mistake and reached out to you. Everyone has the capacity to grow and learn, and Angela is proof of that. Her sincere apology and initiative to invite you for a dinner to reconcile shows her willingness to rectify her mistakes. Her suggestion to conduct a cultural education session at work is commendable, as it not only benefits you but also the entire workplace by promoting understanding and acceptance of diversity. Comment 3. Not the idiot. You deserve to feel accepted and understood in your workplace and in the country you're residing in. The fact that you started feeling at home in Germany after the cultural education session is proof that such initiatives can greatly improve the way minorities are perceived and treated. The hope and understanding that acceptance can come from unexpected places is not just your victory, but also a win for everyone who learns the importance of acceptance and diversity. You're doing great work and should continue to do so. Now for the next story. 2 years ago, my husband and I were doing some renovations to our house. I didn't want my wedding dress to get damaged or lost in the process, which, considering we did lose a few things during the renovation, I was right to be concerned. My friend offered to keep it in her closet until the renovations were done. After we finished the renovations, I asked my friend for the dress back. She kept saying she'd get back to me. I kept asking and she'd make up excuses. I found it weird. Now my sister is getting married and she wanted to wear the dress. This was our mother's dress and we always agreed we'd each wear it. I told my friend I need it back. She claimed she couldn't find it. I was perplexed because how does it just get up and walk away? She apologized and offered to pay me the cost of the dress, which I turned down because it wasn't about money. The dress was sentimental and I felt terrible my sister couldn't wear it. My friend and her husband went away. I was there to water their plants and feed their dogs. I decided to go look myself. The closet was very cluttered. I eventually found the dress. I can totally believe that she missed where it was and she wasn't being malicious in the slightest. The box was tucked behind a few larger ones containing seasonal clothes. I texted her saying, "I found the dress." Instead of being happy for me, she asked why I rummaged through her closet. I said I just wanted to double check. She told me I had no right to go through her things. I said that because of her clutter, my sister almost didn't get to wear a dress she always dreamed of. My friend told me that I could have asked her to look again, but I pointed out it took 2 years for her to even look in the first place. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I can totally believe that she missed where it was and she wasn't being malicious in the slightest. The box was tucked behind a few larger ones containing seasonal clothes. I texted her saying I found the dress. Instead of being happy for me, she asked why I rummaged through her closet. LOL, so interesting that she knew exactly where you rummaged to find this lost dress. OP, I mean this in the nicest way, but you're being naive. She was trying to keep your dress. Simple as that. If all you had to do was go through that closet in her house, it wasn't lost or misplaced. It was exactly where she put it, and she knew that. Not the idiot, but this person isn't your friend. Which, considering we did lose a few things during the renovation, I was right to be concerned. Was your friend over during the renovations? You might need a second chance to rummage at her home before the returns. Comment 2. Not the idiot. If I was in your friend's situation and I genuinely couldn't find the dress, then I would frankly have invited you to look around for it while you were in the house doing me a favour. But I also am the type of person who would just assume that someone I trust enough to water my plants and feed my dog is also someone I trust in my space. Snooping is a fairly natural instinct, and you had a specific reason for it. Even if she's legit about not liking that you went through her stuff, she went on the defensive immediately instead of being relieved that you managed to find the dress. That just seems suspicious to me. I would say meeting up with your friend to explain and hear what she has to say might be worthwhile, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is the end of the friendship either. Comment 3. Not the idiot, to people saying you shouldn't have snooped. She accepted to watching something that means a lot to you and obviously did not try to find it in the slightest when you kept asking her. Even offered to pay instead of actually looking. That sounds suspicious AF. You did nothing wrong, OP. She had your property and refused to give it back. That is way worse than you looking through her things for it. She's TA. Now for the update. So, after the initial dress debacle, things took a pretty nasty turn. I decided to give my friend some space, given her reaction to my discovery of the dress. I thought maybe she'd come around, but honestly the silence was deafening. Then, out of the blue, I got a phone call. It was from her husband. I knew something was wrong right away by the tone of his voice. He told me that my friend had been in a car accident. She'd been drinking. I never knew she'd been struggling with alcohol. She passed away on the way to the hospital. I was in shock. I didn't know how to react. This was the friend who'd held on to my wedding dress, the friend who'd had her own quirks, but had always been there for me. The dress was the last thing on my mind now. In the midst of this sorrow, my sister asked about the dress. I told her what happened, and we both broke down in tears. The dress was now a token of a friendship lost, a symbol of shared history and painful memories. My sister hesitated about using it for her wedding, but we both agreed that it would be a strong way to remember our friend. Meanwhile, while dealing with this grief, I discovered another secret. I received a call from the friend's husband again. He found a letter written by her, and it was addressed to me. She confessed that she'd been dealing with depression and alcoholism for years. She felt that her life was a cluttered mess, similar to her closet. She had intentionally hidden the dress, as she was afraid of being too burdensome to me. She thought if she returned the dress, I might find out about her struggles, and she didn't want me to worry. It felt like a punch in the gut. I had no idea she was battling these demons. I felt guilty for not noticing, guilty for letting a dress come between us. My sister wore the dress at her wedding and we toasted to our lost friend, our hearts heavy with regret and sadness. This whole situation has made me ponder over so many things. The dress, our friendship, her struggles. I wish she could have reached out. I wish things could have been different. I can't help but feel that I'm partially responsible for not seeing the signs earlier. You never really know what someone else is going through. Cherish your friendships and always make sure to check in on your loved ones. Sadly, it's too late for me to do so with her. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. It's important to understand that mental health issues are often hidden, even from those who are closest to us. It's quite common for people struggling with alcoholism and depression to hide their pain, sometimes with apparent success. You cannot blame yourself for not noticing your friend's struggles, as it's likely she went to great lengths to ensure you didn't. The dress is a symbol of your friendship and the memories you two shared, not your friend's struggles that she hid. If you want to honour her memory, you may consider donating the dress to a cause she cared about or a charity that helps people dealing with the same struggles she faced. Comment 2. No idiots here. While the dress may serve as a painful reminder, it can also be a symbol of the friendship and love you shared. It's natural to feel guilt in situations like this, but remember, you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped or isn't ready to accept help. It's clear that you cared about your friend, and it's that love and care that you should remember, not the guilt. If the dress is too much of a reminder, consider storing it away or repurposing it into something that you can look at with fond memories. Comment 3. Not the idiot. But let this be a lesson to all of us to check in on our friends, even when they seem like they're okay. People often hide their struggles, especially mental health issues like depression and alcoholism. It's important to remember that we can't force someone to open up, but we can always be there to listen, support, and offer help when they're ready to accept it. As for the dress, you could consider transforming it into a symbol of strength and hope. Maybe you could turn it into a piece of art or a keepsake that reminds you of the good times with your friend. Remember, it's okay to grieve, and it's okay to move forward. Now for the next story. My 32-year-old male wife, 30-year-old female, is concerned about our financial situation. I think her concern is misplaced, but I told her my income isn't going to change anytime soon, so I asked her what we wanted to do about it. She suggested that when my son, she is his stepmother, turns 18, we should start charging him rent. I immediately shut down that idea and told her we would have to think of something else because there's no way I'm charging my son to live in our house. She said it was reasonable since I was paying most of his college tuition, but I told her there are alternatives. I suggested we stop eating out so much because it's $1.50 to $1.00 per meal, but she didn't like that idea. I suggested other things which she rejected, so I told her I'm open to suggestions, but my son isn't going to be our source of income. She told me I should think more of her than my son. That made me a little mad, so I told her my son will always come before her. She called me a jerk after that and hasn't talked to me since. Did I overstep? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I may get a lot of hate for this, who knows, but here are my thoughts. Kids don't ask to be put in this world completely out of their hands. To add to that, they get no say in what kind of household they're entering. While countries have their own ways of legalizing social movements and parental decision-making, we can all agree that it comes down to parents unless it breaches the irregular legal social constructs put in place. With that said, when you choose to have kids, just because one turns 18 doesn't mean you can kick them out. Have them carry the load that should be ascribed to the parents, etc. To add to that, when you choose to have kids, your priority should be the family unit, not just singular members. And so, I would be on the view that investing in your kids would not only set them up for the future, but in return, while you may not expect it at all, your kids would take care of you. As someone who has parents, I acknowledge the investments and sacrifices my parents made for me, and I prioritize taking care of them even more if it's within my means. So, the simple idea of giving up meals out seems like a no-brainer to give your kid a leg up. I'd even argue that there's an even greater emphasis on setting them up sooner than later given the current financial, socio-political, and everything else climate. The idea of making your own way is very difficult for younger generations. They were handed a pretty S-tie hand. I commend you for your position, not the idiot. Your wife, however, needs to do some soul-searching as to the kind of parent she wants to be. Comment 2, not the idiot. So your unemployed wife is raising hackles at your barely legal son, who is somehow supposed to hold down a job and study full-time so she can continue to afford to eat out. Really? If you're short on money, there are two options. Cut down on expenses, or the unemployed partner finds a job. Your son has a job, he's studying. Comment 3. Not the idiot. I'd be suspicious of any parent who thought of others before they thought of their children, even a spouse. It's great that you are able and willing to support your son. Contrary, your wife sucks for rather having an 18-year-old student pay rent than skipping some restaurant visits. Now, for the update. Quick update for those who've been following along. After a few tension-filled days, my wife and I finally sat down and had a heart-to-heart about our financial situation. We talked over everything. Not just our immediate financial woes, but also our future plans, dreams and fears. I think it was the first time we've had such an honest and open conversation about money. Incredibly, during this talk, my wife admitted that she was wrong to suggest charging my son rent. She explained that she'd been stressed and thinking irrationally. She apologized for it, and I could see that she was sincere. We agreed that we would never use our son as a financial plan or force him to shoulder our burdens. I was honestly relieved about this because I didn't want him to feel like he was a burden to us. Now for the good stuff, we've decided on a few significant lifestyle changes that will help us save money. Instead of eating out so often, we're going to try and cook more meals at home. We're also going to start a small kitchen garden, fruits, veggies, the works. We figured it would not just help us save some money, but also keep us healthy. Plus, gardening can be pretty therapeutic, right? As for my son, we've decided to involve him in the discussions about our financial situation. Not to make him feel guilty, but to help him understand the value of money. We also want to teach him how to budget and save for his personal expenses, which we believe are essential life skills. My wife is already looking into some budgeting apps, and we're going to try out a few till we find one that suits us best. She's been amazing through this, actually taking the lead to find solutions. We've also agreed to regularly revisit our financial plan, at least once every couple of months, to keep ourselves accountable. In the end, I'm grateful that this argument happened. It forced us to confront an issue we'd both been avoiding, and I think we're going to come out stronger than before. Cheers to growing and learning as a couple. We're both excited about the changes we're making and appreciate all the advice and support we've received here. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. It's commendable that both of you have taken this route of open communication and mutual understanding. It's the best way forward in any relationship, especially when it comes to discussing sensitive topics such as finances. Your spouse's change in perspective about charging your son rent shows maturity and a willingness to accept mistakes, which are key aspects of personal growth. Additionally, involving your son in financial discussions is a brilliant way to equip him with practical life skills at an early age. This will not only make him feel included, but also prepare him for his own financial journey in the future. Comment 2. Not the idiot. It's great to see that you both are taking proactive steps to improve your financial situation. The decision to cook at home and start a kitchen garden will not only help in cutting down on expenses, but it's also a healthier lifestyle choice. It's also a great way to involve your son and teach him about sustainability and self-sufficiency. As for the budgeting apps, they can be very effective in tracking and managing expenses. Just make sure to choose one that fits your needs and is user-friendly. Regular revisits to your financial plan are also an excellent idea, as it keeps you on track and allows for adjustments as needed. Comment 3. Not the idiot. The fact that you're viewing this argument as a catalyst for positive change rather than a source of resentment is a testament to your strength and understanding. It's important to remember that financial stress can strain relationships, and it's crucial to handle such situations with sensitivity. It's clear you both are committed to making changes for the better, which is a good sign. Your optimism towards the changes you're making is commendable. It's this positivity that will help you sail through these challenging times. Keep the communication lines open, stay patient, and remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.